Good morning, Mr. Chinaman.
What's up? Like I said, I will do other forms of content creation. It won't be streaming, but that's okay. You know? Or at least it won't be streaming on, Kick. Like, I'm absolutely done with the platform if there's no funding, for events. We're out. Like, I know how this game works. And obviously there's people who they don't have an alternative, right? Like for Paul, it is the best platform. And he's brought all the people here. It's like fantastic. It's like a little ecosystem, right? But like for someone who is trying to become a content creator, or if they desire to become a content creator, it doesn't make sense to start on Kick. It doesn't make sense to devote significant time to Kick. What it actually makes sense to do is to get big on some other platform and then come in and get events funded and a higher gambling deal. That's what makes sense. It doesn't make...
Ask Paul to ask Eddie, or ask Eddie himself to fund streams.
Let me clarify this real fast. It doesn't make sense, okay, if you're a new creator to grind up and try to gain relevancy on Kick. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying that it is improbable. And you're stacking the deck against yourself. You absolutely are stacking the deck against yourself. It's like going to your backyard and saying you're going to need to excavate your backyard to pour concrete to make your patio bigger, and then you start digging with a spoon. Are you going to get there? Eventually, sure. Right? If you're really good at digging with a spoon, you might even be able to do it. But like, why the fuck would you use a spoon? Go use a shovel, or, hire an excavator to like just dig the hole in 10 minutes. Like, it is moving in the dumbest way possible to use the smallest utensil possible in order to achieve your end.
Twitch, TikTok, and YouTube are better for exposure.
Absolutely.
But they have much stricter twos.
Absolutely, but that's just a trade-off. You have to take that trade-off, right? Because the point is not that, like, the point would be like you want to grow and then you can bring some of that back to Kick if you really want to be on Kick, but like, who knows? Dude, Jeff2810 only Kick did funding. Do you, look, this is a typical chatter right here, okay? You just like talking about things that you do not understand at all, don't you? Is that right? I find a lot of chatters do this shit. They talk about shit that they do not fucking understand, but they pretend like they know matter of fact. Kick is the only one that does funding. Is that correct? You believe that? Fucking idiot. Are we serious here? Do you believe that? You realize that I was the back end of everything Kate did for the past 10 years. And that I've talked to Dan Clancy. I've talked to everyone at every level on every platform. I can guarantee you YouTube funds events. Twitch funds events. All right? I don't know about TikTok. What can you even do as an event there? But like, Facebook funds events. Which fucking platform that ever tried to compete in streaming did not or does not continue to fund events? What the fuck are you talking about? You don't care? You don't care? Here, buddy, eat my dick. Oh shit. You choked. The dude is like, I don't care, I don't care, I don't care, I don't care, in my fucking chat. That really looks like you don't care. I did see XQC's Lambo thing. I've done that before. Yeah, whatever. No, like, we'll see, Mondo. I'm not 100% sure. It's just like, so like, I've been trying to go through the, I I don't even know if he would do this. It doesn't even matter. I just don't like imposing in this way, right? But like I've always tried to operate like at least in my relation with Kick, without using Paul like as a conduit for like information or like to try to get him to like do things, right? Like I always like for The Apprentice, all this, all the kind of resources I got like, on my own, right? Obviously Paul helped with the the co-hosting, which is fantastic. But like I didn't like, ask for an in with Kick. I just did the thing of my own dime, right? But the idea was, and this is from a conversation with my Kick rep at the time, that if I could put a successful event under my belt, then it would be easier for them to fund future ones. I said, fine, fair enough. So we did The Apprentice, and then I'm talking to my rep, after I got back from South America and Europe. I was like, oh, I want to do another event. Here's the thing. And so then I gave them a write-up with the spread. So it's very professional. There's a little slide deck that shows you like, mostly AI generated images of what the event is going to like look like, just to help them visualize it. Then I had a 500-word write-up that's just like an executive summary of what the event is. And then I have a very concise spreadsheet with hyperlinks to everything. Like if it's a rental, it's hyperlinked to like the listing on Airbnb or whatever. Everything is listed out, and then that's the budget. Like, right, every dollar amount, every dime that's going to be spent, that I'm proposing to be spent, is linked and it's sourced. And I sent that to them for 2 ideas. And my rep was like, oh, okay, I like the Monopoly idea. Hence why I originally said we're going to do Monopoly. And so then I'm working with him on how to do it. And then he's talking about, well, what date is it? What blah, blah, blah. He's asking all these questions. That's fine. And so then we get to the point where he's like, all right, this is what Kick is willing to do. I'm like, cool. And then he goes, oh, wait, I just got transferred to another department. I'll put you in contact with the team, and they'll definitely take care of it. I was like, okay, great. So now I'm talking to new people entirely. And I was like, hey, just let me know if y'all need me to send over the stuff again, whatever. And then they're like, oh yeah, if you could just send over everything you have. So I sent it all over. And then there's like this awkward conversation of like, and then, so you want us to fund this, right? And I was like, yeah. And then like, it's, I mean, they usually take 2 days to respond, so it's something crazy. But like, I would imagine that was very obvious, because obviously my first event, I just did it on my own. So why would I even bother submitting my budget, my whatever, right? If I'm paying it out of my own pocket, what the fuck are we talking about? And it's not that they said no, it's that I'm waiting for the answer. But I'm like, dude, like, what do you think is happening here? Well, it gets worse, because before they even answer the funding question, they came back with, could you give us an exact list of, and ideally link their Kick profiles to all the people who are going to be in the event? And I was like, dude, did you even read the presentation? Because it's like, I gave you 2 events. One is Monopoly, one is called X Factor. It's about dating your ex, right? And it's like a 7-couple thing. Do you want me to just say that here are the people that are going to be on X Factor, and they're also going to play Monopoly? Like, it's different people for the 2 different shows. So, like, which one are we doing? Like, you got to tell me which one we're looking at before you can ask, like, who are all the streamers involved? Like, without knowing the funding picture and without getting guidance on when they want me to do it, in what range of dates, like, how am I supposed to, like, what am I supposed to, like, call Mondo and be like, Mondo, at some point this year, you're going to come to Monopoly, right? It's like, dude, like, that's not how planning works, If they go, yes, Kick is willing to help with this, and we're willing to do this, we think it's perfectly fine if you propose that you want to do this in early or mid-August. Now, I can go to the, rental and be like, here's what dates I need. You got them? Okay. Right? And then when I've lined up all the things, now I can reach out to streamers and say, I'm throwing an event on this day through this day. Are you interested in coming? Then I can give you a list of people who are going to show up. But if you want me to give you a list before we've figured all that out, well, then, like, I can do that too. But you got to understand that this is the biggest waste of time list in the world, because essentially I'm just making it up, right? If you don't actually want me to ask other streamers, then I'm just making it up. You know, and if they want that, I'll give it to them. But like, it's just so pointless. It's like, you want me to tell you who's going to show up to an event that we haven't decided if it's going to happen yet, and we haven't decided where it's going to happen. I gave options in my proposal, right? Of like, okay, this other house is cheaper, but like obviously it's not in as interesting or remote of a location, and so you know it's a trade-off, right? Like I can't even tell you where it's going to be. I can't tell you when it's going to be. How the fuck am I going to tell you who's going to be there? It just feels like a pencil pusher who's just like, okay, now we ask this question. It's like, God damn it, dude. Look, at the end of the rainbow, if it's like what the first rep said and that they were down to help, great. If it's going to be some version of like, oh yeah, like, did you see the kick talk where Eddie and Santa Maria were like, we don't fund events anymore? I'm like, well, then why the fuck do we just have a fucking 2-month back and forth conversation about, yeah, you know, whatever. I'm just going to go stream on Twitch. Fuck that. You know, I will say this, like, here's the thing. I wouldn't quit streaming if, like, out the gate, they're like, sorry, we don't fund events anymore. Okay, that's fair. You know, I'll figure it out on my own, right? But I'm stuck in this conversation where I'm, like, talking to someone like they're my parent. Like, oh, yeah, like, here's what I want to do. You know, is this okay? Blah, blah. I ain't asking for your permission if I'm fucking paying for it myself. What the fuck are we talking about? Right? Like, it's like, I respect that on Twitch, despite all its downfalls, if you went to Twitch with an event, they will tell you immediately if it's possible to fund. Before they continue that conversation one iota, they're going to fucking tell you, hey, right now we've already filled our quota for this quarter, and so we're not funding any events right now. If they said they didn't want to fund the event, that's fine. I'm not wasting my time continuing to plan events and talk to people about them when they ask me, right? XX Corvus, I highly doubt that. Because here's the thing, ready? I've already said this. You know what? You're another retard that can eat a ban. Because if I'm quitting streaming, I don't care how many of y'all I ban. Suck my dick. Deep throat that sucker. All the way to the balls. So first of all, like I've already said, like, at least from what I've heard, Eddie is fairly fond of me, right? But, like, I don't like doing things in a way that are not replicable. And so I kind of, like, would prefer not to do the idea of, like, asking someone to link me to Eddie to make the case to him. Like, I'd rather work with my entry-level kick rep and do things in a way that, like, I can feel good about. It's like, okay, look, this can be done by anyone, right? Anyone could do this. I like that way better, you know, than like, jumping to the top and getting, like, special privilege, if that's even a thing, you know? Like, that's not what I'm looking for here. I don't think y'all understand. It's like I said, that's why I said I'd be okay if they said we don't fund events. Okay, fine. I'll go do things that are way lower cost and, you know, have a more immediate return, right? I'll just keep doing these. I think I made like $1,500 or $1,600 of KPP, not counting subs and whatever, for the therapy stream. That's fine. I mean, whatever, dude. Like, I mean, that's a pretty good day, right? But, like, I wouldn't bother planning big, grandiose events. Because big, grandiose events, if they benefit Kick as an ecosystem, which I think they do, big, grandiose events are almost always going to be funded. Okay? Like, you just have to understand, that's how it always has worked. You have to understand, like, you know, a lot of people like to compare it to traditional media, right? And they said, oh, why do you think you deserve funding? That's so entitled. No, retard. The problem is this, right? When you make an event on a Kick or Twitch or YouTube, what if the platform says, actually, we're not gonna, like, you know, if it's just a YouTube thing, what if you make the video, you spend all this personal costs, and you post it on the platform, and they go, actually, there's a problem with this event. You see in this section of the event, there's music playing that's copyrighted, and so we just can't have this video posted. Well, you just wasted a fuck ton of money, right? It's different when the platform is paying for it, because then they will find a way to remedy the situation alongside you in earnest, right? In traditional media, legacy media, whatever you want to call it, like, the reason why you fund your own projects, at least that used to be the case, which it's not anymore, but we'll get to that in a second. The reason why you fund your own thing is because you have a lot of latitude in determining who you get to distribute the content, right? It's your baby. You control it. You get all the upside, right? When you're making things for a platform, you have already determined where that content is going to be made, and where you determine that content is being made is usually how you lean into the specifics of whatever that medium might be, right? If it's YouTube, it's different than if it's streaming, right? And so you're very pigeonholed, and these big events that last 7 days, 14 days, they are not undertakings that almost anyone would do on their own dime. Adin Ross may not even do these on his own dime if he wasn't getting funding for it. And so then if your thing is like, well, okay, then become a big creator like Adin Ross before you ask. That's fair. But then my answer to you is I wouldn't have done The Apprentice, and I wouldn't have done any events, because I would know that events are not open to me until I get big. That's how it works. I don't do events to get big. I do events because I figured they would want that, and it's good for everyone that there's something to do, some reason to watch. We planned The Apprentice for January 2nd of 26. We kicked off the year and gave a reason for people coming back from the holiday season to tune in and have some serially, week-long content to watch, right? Like, I don't have to make those. It's fine, right? Like, I trust me. I'm very happy to do interviews and podcasts. That's kind of what I want to do anyways. The events are just like, I feel like they're good for the ecosystem. And like, at least for The Apprentice, it helped me meet everyone, or at least 30 people, in one go. It's the whole reason I know so much about, or I don't even know that much, but like, I know who Mondo is. I know who Nerdballer is. I know who Fief is. Like I got to meet 30 streamers at one time and get like a taste of like who they are. And that's great for networking for someone who's new, right? And so that was good for that reason on its own. But like, what is it, Vagabond or what? I mean, they're open to other people as well, but, I highly doubt that the rank and file person I'm talking to at Kick cares about that. I mean, for The Apprentice, we flew Hannah in, Amaranth made an appearance, Ice helped me co-host it. I don't think there is any problem with me being able to court notable people. That's not the problem. If they think that's the problem, well, they didn't watch they didn't look at any of the information I sent them about Apprentice, because like I did. So I'm very thorough and stuff like this, right? When they ask me who's going to be in it, I'm like, well, that's kind of up in the air until we figure out a date. But here are the people who were at The Apprentice, and I listed everyone's, Kick profile that was there, right? And so like that's my demonstration of good faith of like, okay, if you're worried about my ability to get people there, well, here you go, right? Like, I wouldn't even mind if they go, okay, fine, if you can get XQC involved, we'll pay for it. Fair. I have no issue with the networking. Like, I'm pretty persuasive. I offer a lot of value to people. Like, I have no you want to tell me that you need someone involved for me to get funding? So be it. But like, don't sit here and have a conversation with me and ask me all these questions about this. If at the end of the day, you're like, all right, where are our policies? We don't fund things anymore. It's like, what the fuck are we doing then? Why are we talking about it? Asmongold was almost at Apprentice 1. So I got really upset at Kate because on day 2 or 3 of The Apprentice, she calls me and starts a fight on the phone while she's watching the show. Originally, Asmon was going to drop by and watch a few behind the scenes, like a few segments. And when we were fighting, they basically, like, he's like, oh shit, don't want to go there. And so, yeah. So, I mean, like, you know, Asmon's in Austin. They actually asked me to go on his podcast, which I said I'd probably be interested in. So it's still cool. So, like, when y'all say, like, oh, they need big people, it's like, that's not a problem. If that's what they need, they can say that. That doesn't offend me. Right? But I don't like the charades if that's what ends up happening of, like, saying, okay, give us all these specifics. Let's lay out this event. And then it being like, oh, yeah, I don't know why we're doing this conversation, but good luck. Well, actually, I did slightly better than break even from The Apprentice because when it was clear to me that the event was going to generate more KPP than its cost. So here's the thing, right? I've learned since not to do this, but, like, you know, the people I hired for Apprentice, I negotiated their rates down. And I said, because it's my first event, I'm paying out of pocket. If it works, then obviously I'll do more events at the asking rate. But then when I realized it was going to make money, I went back to all the people and I said, I'm going to give you all the original rate that we agreed upon. Or like that you asked for. Right? And I also wrote a few checks to additional people who helped me out, even though they told me not to. So I ended up making relatively little. I put in my pocket less than what I gave to Nerdballer. Okay, but it's because I given the surplus that ended up it becoming, I paid everyone out what I thought was fair, you know. Trags, that's a retarded point, you fat fucking retard. If for the fact that before I did Apprentice, I didn't already have this conversation. And the guideline I was given was that if we do an event and demonstrate that we can do this, there would be a conversation in future events. Now, Paul's 10-year sojourn through the world of content creation, right? I'm going to guarantee you something right here, right? Paul would have started getting funding for events probably the year that he got banned if he didn't get banned. Right? And then if Paul was on Twitch or wherever through COVID, you would have bet your ass that he would have got funding for anything he wanted to do during COVID. The money was flowing so easily in the industry around that time. You have no idea. Dude, I was flying people to Kate's events on G5 Gulfstream airplanes. Okay. I flew fucking Wubby XQC on a fucking G5. LA to fucking Miami. Okay? $70,000 charge on my Amex for that plane ride. And then I turned around and I said, we're going to find a sponsor to pay for this. Right? And within 2 days, Boom, sponsor secured. What do they want for this sponsorship? Easy. They wanted these little pins with their logo to be on the stewardess's vest, right? And it was going to be made into YouTube videos by all these people because it's... So you have to understand, nowadays, if you try to fly an XQC via Gulfstream, he doesn't even really care. That's like every day, bro, right? But in 2019, 2020, very few streamers were flying in G5s, right? Aiden does it every day now. Actually, Aiden is crazy in that, like, he'll book 5 different planes in case he wants to go to 5 different cities. And then 4 of them don't even go because he has to, he only can be on one plane at a time. He books backup planes to go to other places in case he wants to go there. But regardless, in 2019, 20, 21, it was a different landscape. And it was a very big novelty to do that, right? Like, literally, that was my trump card for making sure someone got to the event and didn't, like, bail out last minute. You offer them a G5, they're going to be on the fucking plane. And we even paid for the meal service where, like, before you get on the plane, the crew contacts you and says, what would you like to eat? And then they're like, oh, what's the menu? And they go, no, sir, you don't understand. Name a restaurant in LA where you want their food, and it will be on the plane. We did that, okay? $70K a flight. $70,000 a flight. And I could find the sponsor within 48 hours. And all they wanted was a pin on the stewardess's thing, and then the napkins that are going to be served with the in-flight meal. They wanted to have their logo on it and appear in the video. And then the little carpet that they roll out for when you get on the plane, it's going to also have their logo. That's it. That literally, like, duh. Like, okay. That's it. Yeah, XQC's freaking rich right now. Or has been for a while. Korean barbecue. No, like there's a lot of idiots who are like you understand, Paul's situation is atypical in many regards, right? He has a great ability to entertain and make content, but he's been basically you call it persecuted by the main streaming platform during most of his career. And so when you say Paul's done 10, like you're saying, like, Moses was fucking banished to the desert for 40 years. Paul was banished for however many years, 8 years, 10 years, whatever, right? I agree with you. That sucks. And he'd be richer than fucking, name a rich creator. He'd probably be richer than Trainwrecks if it wasn't for being banned on Twitch, to be honest. Right? He'd be richer than iShowSpeed, XQC, and name another creator combined. We're not talking about the world that could have been, right? But when you do that comparison saying, well, you got to do 10 years of content before you can start getting events funded. Dude, go fuck your own face, right? Just go fuck your own face, man. That's not how it works. That's never worked that way. Ludwig got funding from Twitch for his event 18 months from starting of streaming. So you are dead wrong and you're retarded. Nine months after Ludwig stood in a meet and greet line for Amaranth, he was getting $50,000 funding for an event. Is that what it takes? I gotta fucking stand in a line at TwitchCon to meet and greet Amaranth? That's actually a true story. There's a funny picture of Ludwig in the meet and greet line that we didn't realize until many years later. Because he wasn't a creator at the time. He didn't do it for the lulz. He was actually a viewer. Isn't that crazy? There's a fun video, I don't know if anyone can find it, of when Mizkif met Amaranth, like at the very beginning of his streaming career. God, was he awkward. That is the problem, though, right? Like, I do agree that CX is like a huge anchoring point on Kick, but like, I don't think my style of making content aligns with that, anyways. And so this is going back to, square one, where I'm saying like maybe it just ain't for me, you know?